Newsom support went down, but at what cost? Oh, no. Harris at 38%, Newsom at 13%, Buttigieg at 5%, Shapiro at 4%. Where is AOC on this? I don't think Kamala Harris is going to run. I mean, she might, but I don't think she's going to win. AOC is at 2% on there. I don't believe those polls. Those polls are fake. AOC at 100% in my poll. Okay? She's 100% in the poll that I made up in my mind. Couple things I want to bring up about AOC's foreign policy. Zaid Jilani, who sometimes has good takes, sometimes is far too invested in the culture war narratives, comes out and says AOC's a lightweight, and David Weigel as well. Consensus seems to be that this didn't work. AOC's pushing Democrats to take her seriously. Munich could launch her rebirth. David Weigel doesn't agree with this, and Zaid Jilani doesn't agree with this. I think it's good that a lot of the DC crowd that have spent a good deal of time in DC are considering, her commentary on American foreign policy to be bad. I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing. I believe it was literally Matt Iglesias who had like a decent take on this, where Matt Iglesias straight up said like AOC is so stupid. She doesn't know anything she's talking about as far as foreign policy, but here is why it's good. And it wasn't wrong. Like Matt Iglesias being like, look at all the most successful like foreign policy, look at all the most successful presidents in our lifetime. Donald Trump doesn't know shit about foreign policy and is communicating it in a way that like people can understand, oversimplifying it, blah, 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 all this shit. And it's objectively successful. So I do think that the think tank pedigree, NatSec liberalism isn't going to cut it, right? What AOC needs right now is more confidence in her worldview and more confidence in her advocacy when she's talking about these issues. And she needs to also present her worldview a little bit better, or rather, she needs to openly state that her worldview is antagonistic to the business as usual foreign policy machine that we have seen both from establishment liberals and also Republicans as well. I feel like AOC gaffing her way through a series of prestige foreign policy questions is bullish for her presidential aspirations. That's how Bush, Obama, Trump all did it. Not caring or knowing about this stuff means you're in touch with the voters. She'd be non-optimal nominee for obvious reasons, but has more upside than Newsom, is a clear shot at the nomination. Her apparent ambivalence about actually running is odd. It's not odd at all. It's actually very good that she's being ambivalent about her aspirations, because that way you can present yourself as a serious contender because you understand the seriousness of the time itself. And you can say, I am being pushed into this position because I think that there aren't any good alternatives right now. Presidential candidates with detailed opinions about foreign policy: George W. Bush, John McCain, Hillary Clinton, Joe Biden. People I have a lot of respect for, but his loser energy. He kind of cooked here. Nobody gives a fuck about someone who is like super dialed in on foreign policy. I made fun of Joe Biden for that over and over again. He was Mr. NATO, if you recall. As far as like Venezuela being above the equator, it's like, yeah, I think she meant global south. She meant global south. We literally have a potential president and the left chooses to do this. Not even primary season, and 2028 primaries are already looking insufferable. Yeah, she meant global south. Venezuela is a global south nation, even though it is above the equator. That's it. That's literally what was going on here. I don't know why we're having a back and forth on this. Like it's very obvious. It's very obvious what the fuck she was saying here. I think most people understood it. If you recall, one of the things that I kept making fun of with respect to Joe Biden was like how hyper-focused he was on foreign policy. And I obviously made fun of it for two different reasons. One, because like his vision of foreign policy was dog shit. Most Americans don't vote on foreign policy, no matter how much I would like them to vote on foreign policy. No one has actually been able to talk about how foreign policy actually impacts domestic issues in ways that many people do not understand. A candidate that will successfully connect these two, and one of the most famous lines that I always think about, I believe it was Eisenhower who said this: every dollar spent on bombs is a dollar that could be spent on books, is a dollar that could be spent on a brick that you lay to build homes in the United States of America. Something along those lines. Like that is a perfect way to tie this back and bring this issue to the forefront of the conversation, bring this issue back to Americans in general. It's something that I do all the time. All of these forced instabilities that take place at the hands of the American military are done not at the behest of the working class here in the United States of America. How many more decades of failed regime change wars do we have to engage in? That kind of thing, right? that I think will be the defining trait of a new way of doing politics. Okay, the candidate that arrives at the proper way of communicating that the military industrial complex is designed in a way to take your wealth away, take your surplus value away from you and away from things you care about, away from improving your material conditions, and dump it in the hands of endless militarism overseas at the behest of parasitic global capital. That anyone who can take that and explain it in a way where the layman can understand will be able to design a new foreign policy vision where Americans can understand that. Isn't it technically Europe, not in the West, but it's the West? Yeah, like these terms, like Australia is a Western nation, okay? Australia is a Western nation. Is it in the fucking West? I guess if you go so far west that all of a sudden it loops back around because the Earth is a goddamn sphere, a globe, right? Like it's the same principle. Like what she clearly meant to say there was that Venezuela is a global South nation. The point that she was making in that situation, you can't say that after you glazed Irving. Listen, I've already maintained my position on this. If I could ball handle like Kyrie, I would maintain the position that the Earth is flat. If it helps me with my ball handling, or the Earth is flat. You know what I'm saying? Venezuela is like 40 miles north of the equator, Lamau. No, it's irrelevant. What she's trying to fucking say there is that Venezuela is a global South country, which is true. Okay, it's true. And it doesn't mean that it's supposed to be south of the fucking equator. A global South country is a political designation, just like a Western country is a political designation. I cannot believe we're having this fucking nitpicky ass, pedantic ass goddamn conversation right now. Everybody understands exactly what she was fucking saying. Do I wish that AOC had the capabilities of delivering a speech in a convincing way that like appeals to everybody in the way that like, you know, Pete Buttigieg does or something? Sure, maybe. I mean, she needs more confidence in her speeches. Like she does need that. But Pete Buttigieg's speech is filled to the brim with nothing. Okay, it's neoliberal trite for the most part. So just because he's confident when he is doing public speaking doesn't mean that he has anything new to say. Okay, so that's it. It's very silly, right? I'd rather have someone be wordy but try to communicate an alternative vision than have someone be concise and clear and confident, but also have absolute fucking idiocy of repackaging neoliberal hegemony that has been a disaster so far. The Rosetta Stone for AOC's foreign policy right here. Economic elites are taking the lion's share of growth for themselves and leaving crumbs for the working class. This is an injustice. You are being screwed. And that story is not a cultural one, but a class one. Exactly. That's it. Boom, boom, boom. Clear, concise. I am an ideas man, as you guys know. I care more about getting this message across, no matter who's doing it, okay? No matter who's getting the message across, I'm with you. I think there is something to be excited about here, and it's certainly better than someone who is charismatic, but is telling everybody that he is going to, he is going to Brandonize. He's going to do vulgar Brandonism. The more AOC cuts away from the previous old guard method of like NatSec, NATO liberalism, NATO Atlanticism, the faster we can make these designations. The better she can actually tie back endless militarism as a burdensome process that has directly played a role in ruining the material conditions of the American working class and the working class all around the fucking world, the better this will be.